our call. So as requested in the previous meeting, I'm going to be recording this. So just hold on. Yes. So in today's session, we're just going to go through the roundup of Google AI products, right? The key products that we feel as software developers, as software developers minus anti-gravity. The reason why I'm not touching on anti-gravity is because tomorrow's session is going to be heavily built around anti-gravity. So let me share my screen. And regarding cloud credits, after this call, I'm going to share the link to the cloud credits on the WhatsApp group. So just let me know if you can see my screen. All right, great. So just hold on. I can admit a few more people. Yes, so Google AI, Gemini, Gemma, and beyond, right? So when we talk about artificial intelligence or AI models, there are a few that are very, very common to everyone, right? We know ChatGPT, we know Claude, we know Gemini, and so on, right? But within Google Suite, there are a couple of AI technologies there, right? Just like the way OpenAI had Sora, while they still had ChatGPT, right? Google has Veo for people that want to generate videos. Google has Nano Banana for image creation and so on. But we're focusing on like the technological aspects as software developers right now. So I believe we all know Gemini and we know Gemma, right? I like to have my talk to be interactive. So I don't know who can tell us the difference between Gemini and Gemma. Is there anyone that can tell us the difference between Gemini and Gemma? You can just unmute yourself and speak. You can tell us the difference between Gemini and Gemma. You were not in Emerald session yesterday, where she spoke about Gemini and Gemma. So Gemini is Google's AI model, right? Artificial intelligence model. It's a large-scale, large language model, and it's multimodal. What does multimodal mean? It means you can work with both text, image, audio, and video, right? So if you give it an image, you'll be able to analyze the image and produce some form of result or feedback to you. Then we have Gemma, which is lightweight and open source. So while you using Gemini, you can run out of resource or you may exhaust like your free tier, right? And you have to pay. With Gemma is free. Now, when we say beyond now, there is another Google AI technology. There is another Google AI technology called Vertex AI. Has anyone heard of Vertex AI? No, no one has heard of Vertex AI. So Vertex AI, okay, we have a couple of hands that have heard of Vertex AI, right? So Vertex AI is similar to Gemini, except it is enterprise level, right? It is enterprise level, so it's no surprise that a lot of people have not heard of it, right? So let me just move to the next slide. So here are the differences when you're comparing them. So we have Gemini, that is general purpose and is frontier, right? Then we have Gemma, that is open source and can be used locally. Then we have another key property of Gemma, which is open weight. What does open weight mean? Open weight means you yourself, you can download a Gemma model, feed it your own data set, and retrain the model, right? So that's what open weight means. Then for Gemini, it has full modality, which means both text, image, video, whatever. While Gemma just has text and vision, it doesn't support video so far. Now, if you look at Vertex AI at the other end, you can see that its own features seem very, very enterprise level. So using this may attract a lot of fees. So if you are deciding to use Vertex AI, you notice that if you just Google Vertex AI, you're going to see that you can be given free $300 credits to use Vertex AI, right? For you to try it out, because they believe that whoever is using Vertex AI, you have something serious and your data is very, very sensitive, right? So if you have anybody that has worked in the medical field before, you know that if you build any project that has to do with medicine, right? You know that they consider their data to be very, very sensitive. And most times you don't even want to even send such data through over the internet without serious encryption. And you don't even want to store the data in just any server, right? So they have what do you call it? They have a policy. They have the HIPAA guidelines and policies, just like there's GDPR on the web, right? So those things now govern the transfer of medical data. So Vertex AI has that in mind already. So when we are building, it's up to you. You can use Gemini, you can use Gemma. If you feel like your stuff is going to be enterprise level and you have like some form of sensitivity in your data, or you have like a data set that you want to work with, you can use Vertex AI, right? It allows you to build your own large language custom models. So it's similar to how the US intelligence agency was using an enterprise version of Claude internally, right? So that's the difference between these three. Now, when it comes to user products, I don't know who has heard of Google Stitch. Yes, Google Stitch. If you guys are, whoever has heard of Google Stitch and is not a front-end developer or is not a UX developer, that means you are a bad person. You are trying to sideline your UI UX. You are trying to sideline your UI UX people, right? Hold on, trying to admit some people in. Yes, you are trying to sideline your UI UX people. So Stitch is Google Stitch is an AI-powered design tool, right? A native canvas that offers design components for building high-fidelity mobile and web UI designs from text prompt, sketch, or screenshots. So if you sketched your application, you can upload that sketch to Google Stitch, and it's going to give you the user interface. So let's look at an example, right? I'm not going to give it a what they call it. I'm not going to give it a sketch, but I'm just going to give it a prompt. So I'll say create a mobile interface for a football coach. So let me put European here. Or how do we differentiate between American football and regular football to AI? I have no idea. So let me specify European that has or that shows the basic stats of a player, right? So you can change which model you are using here. You can use 3.1 Pro, Design, Ideate, and so on. I'll just leave it at 3 Flash, right? So I'll just submit this particular prompt. So once you've done this, it's now going to it's going to take its time to build the user interface and give you the designs, right? And the beauty of this now is the fact that even personally, as a developer, I don't believe this tool is meant for me as a back-end person, right? I believe this is supposed to be for the product designers, for the UI UX people, for them to see what the idea is going to look like. There are certain situations where you can even put your SRS results, right? So your system requirements, your user stories, you can put your user stories here and it's going to generate the results for you. So we just wait a bit. So it has given us our color palette, our primary color. So this is basically using material design, right? Our font style and so on. And there is Marcus Rashford still in Manchester United. What are the football fans? So you can see our design, right? Now, one of the beauty of this particular tool is the fact that you can also export your design. So I can come here and say export, and we have a lot of options. So, sorry, let me admit. So Emerald showed us yesterday how to use AI Studio, right? So you can select AI Studio, you can export to Figma. So one of the things I noticed was prior to Gemini 3.0, right? There were a lot of mistakes in this particular tool. So someone is asking, how do we get here? Just go to stitch.google.com. Stitch.google.com. So you can export to AI Studio. So if you export to AI Studio, you can now you can just tell it to create this particular application for you. And AI Studio will do that. If you're a product designer or a UI UX person, you can choose to export to Figma, or you can even export as zip, right? Yes, Shegun. Okay, just hold on. So it's very difficult for me to address questions at the same time address chats, right? So please bear with me if I'm just moving forward, right? So you can see our design here. If you want to modify the design, you can select edit. It's now going to give you an editable format. So you can even make your changes here to edit what this looks like, right? Now, let me show you guys something I did earlier. So let me go back to projects. So let's look at this agent real estate. So this is a design I did earlier. Well, a design that Stitch did earlier. So I gave it user stories, right? To say, okay, we want a security application for an estate. So this was what it came up with. And this was just mainly based on the system requirements that was given to it. So it generated all these screens. You have the admin dashboard. So even when, let me zoom in. So you have activity feeds. So if someone comes to show a house in that particular estate, it has designed the screen for you to see, okay, an agent, Marcus Stone, entered the property, you have the front door keypad, right? All this stuff is part of the system requirements. So if I want to export this, I can select a screen and I can choose where I want to export this to, right? So this is Google Stitch. So typically you go to stitch.google.com and you give it a prompt or you upload a sketch or an image of your design. You suppose just JPEG and PNG formats for files, right? So once you upload your design or your prompt, it's now going to give you the design, right? So like I said earlier, I just believe that this tool is typically used for for those people that to be used by those people that are in the design aspect of software development. Even though you are in a sprint, right? So we don't expect you to have the best designs for your MVP. But if you can use this and Google AI Studio as a shortcut to generating something very attractive within the next few days, I think it's going to go a long way to improve your presentation. So let's go back to the slide. So that's Google Stitch. Right. Sorry, let me admit. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is agent development kit, right? So that's agent development kit. So I'm recording this session. So by the time we are done, I'll just share the link to the recording so that people can see the Stitch stuff that we did and other discussions that we had before people joined, right? So what is an AI agent, right? An AI agent is just an autonomous software system that perceives environment, reasons, plans, and takes action to achieve specific goals, right? Often driven by LLMs. And these LLMs are your Gemini, or they serve as the brain of your agent, right? Now, what are situations where we can use agents, right? A situation is where you have multiple different tasks that requires a lot of different services. So let me give you guys an example. So we have an example here, right? So this was something I worked on last year. If you're a student or you've done machine learning, you know that one of the classical examples of machine learning or building a machine learning model is building a spam and harm classifier, right? So one of the challenges of using the data sets on like Cargo and so on is the fact that they may not be updated, right? I've forgotten, there used to be this, forgotten the name of the spam SMS that actually motivated me to do this. But they send their messages in broken English, right? They send their SMS in broken English with unique symbols. So, you know, if you type in Igbo or if you type in Yoruba, there are some accents and so on, or even in Hausa too, the same thing, you have accents. So there's a way they type their messages that breaks a spam filter. So I said, okay, why don't we build an agent that can actually search these messages online to see, or a system to see if this is actually registered with spam. And a very good source for you to find when people are running a scam or spam is if you check Nairaland, right? So the system had a classifier agent. So the classifier agent is your typical statistical model agent, right? That uses either maybe random forest or whatsoever. So that is trained to detect if a message is text or spam. Then there's now an evidence agent, right? So this evidence agent analyzes suspicious elements. So it has a web search tool. So let me come back to the previous slide. So unlike chatbots, AI agents use tools, right? So you can equip your agents with certain tools. So one of the tools that I equipped this agent with is the ability to search the internet using a tool called, using a service called Tabili, right? So you can use Google search or you can use Tabili. The reason why I use the Tabili search is because Tabili search is just, the Tabili search was just a lot cheaper. So you have about, I think, 1,000 free queries per day using the API. So I use that. So now when a message is passed to this particular model, right? The input classifier, the classifier agent checks if it knows about the structure of this particular type of message. So if it doesn't, or if it classifies as spam or harm, the evidence agent is now going to query the internet to search for that message online to see, okay, is this actually not spam? Then it's now going to give the critic agent to review the results of both the classifier agent and the evidence agent, right? Then whatever the critic agent decides is now saved as JSON. So why am I saving the results as JSON? Is because I'm trying to create my own data set, right? That can be used to retrain the normal classifier agent. The whole idea behind it is for you to just know that your agents do not have like how will I call it? The should typically not have the full operational how will I call abilities of your entire system, right? It's like you working in an organization. Your accountant should not be doing the job of maybe an engineer. So it's the same thing here. So we are now doing separation of concerns. We have a classifier agent, an evidence agent, and a critic agent. Now, if you are building an agentic system that has critical implications to your users, right? It will always be advisable for you to have a human in the loop to make the final decisions. So what's human in the loop? It means there's an important decision that has to be made. So if you are building your system and you have multiple agents or you have very, very sensitive behavior, right? It means you have to make sure that a human makes the final decision. So we're going to get to another example after we're done with the multi-agent system. So when I run this, I'm just going to apologize to you guys. The next image is not very clear, but I'm going to explain what is happening in that image. So yes, Daniel, I can see your hand is up.
Yeah, please check if others are in queue to join the call.
Yes, I've been adding everyone that is in queue. Yes. So you can see that at the first stage, the classifier agent performs this classification and says, so I'm just going to read it because I know what is there, right? So it says the final answer is spam. That's what we have here. So now the evidence agent goes online. So this is now the result it finds online. It says, so it now gives you the results. So you can actually see how this model is thinking, right? So there's a flag for that you can tell the model to be verbose. So it's now going to give you, okay, don't worry, I'll share the slides, but I believe the video will cover everything better than the slides. So it's now giving you all the feedback, right? To say, okay, this message is classified as spam and has several red flags. So it's now even explains all the red flags that made this particular evidence model to also classify this message as spam, right? So this evidence now can be what will now guide your human in the loop. So when the human sees all this evidence, you say, okay, this thing is most likely a spam. You can automate this process as well to say maybe if there are 3 or more evidences to say this is spam, then we can just go ahead, right? Then lastly, we have the critic agent that now says, yes, I agree with the classification. The evidence provided strongly suggests that the classification is a spam. So this is basically you using like building a multi-agent system. So Google has their own multi-agent system, right? Which is ADK, Agents Development Kit. However, even if you are familiar with using LangChain, right? If you're familiar with using LangChain, LangChain has a rich repository of tools. So your LLM, the brain of your system, can be Gemini, right? And your tools can be LangChain based, right? That is also fine if that's what you intend to do. Now, let's go to our final discussion today. So for those people that were part of tech startups when we met the other time, I'm just going to run you guys through an example or what we showcased there that time. So I'm just going to play this video. There is no audio, but I'm just going to be explaining. So this is a Med-Gemma image analyzer, right? So what is Med-Gemma, right? We know that Gemma is a lightweight open source model by Google. Now, there are different variants of Gemma. So we have Shield Gemma, if you want to build secure systems, right? When we are talking about security now, we're talking about like things for children, and you don't want people to do like some form of harassment and so on, right, on your system. We have Gemma for writing code locally, and we have Med-Gemma, right? There's also Gemma for um, sign language, but the model has not been dropped yet, so we are still hoping for that. I have big plans for that. So if you look at this, you can see that this is running on localhost, so it's running locally on my system. So I'm going to explain how you can build this in as fast as I can. So let me just play the video. So when I run the application, so the first thing is it's going to load the model. So it's going to load the model into memory now from my storage, right? So once the model is loaded, we now have this screen to either drag and drop. So I'll just browse and select an image. Now, these models, this system is very, very GPU intensive, right? Running these models locally. So you need a system with a GPU. So this is my older laptop that I'm running this on now. It's a Windows-based machine and it uses a GTX 1060 GPU. So it's going to take a very long time, right? So one of the things I'm going to do now is just, let me forward a bit. So what I did was I just said, let me turn off my Wi-Fi so that someone will not say, no, his Wi-Fi was on. I saw it, right? So I turned off my Wi-Fi so that there will be no question that is running locally. Because you know, Nigerians, we like to ask questions. We need evidence and proof, right? So I've turned it off. So I'll just forward a bit. It took a while for me to get the results back. So let's come back a few seconds. So you're just analyzing the image and it's now going to give us a feedback, right? So the feedback itself is not a replacement for your expert. So this is a typical system where you need a human in the loop. These systems do not replace medical doctors, right? So this is just supposed to help the doctor. So let me give the example I gave at tech startups. Just imagine the nurse, you go to a hospital and before you see the doctor, the nurse has taken all your vitals, right? That's the typical process. They check your weight, they check your blood pressure and all this stuff, and they log it for the doctor. So if they take other samples from you or other details from you, you can use Med-Gemma to say these are the information that has been collected by the nurse. And based on that information, this is what I think it is, while the doctor now goes through his own job to see, okay, is this AI model telling me the truth or not? So you can see analysis complete and you can see the results, right? So say based on the image, most likely Roselia infantum, 6 disease. So it gives a reason. Here's why. The appearance, the image shows widespread of whatever, right? Then other possibilities. So it also gives other possibilities, can be scarlet fever. Then important considerations. What I want to even focus on is disclaimer. Say, I am an AI and cannot provide medical advice. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for professional medical evaluation, right? So, I remember, I think Mr. Imo is on this call. He was one of the people that asked if this is only for X-ray, right? No, as you can see, this is not an X-ray based image. So this is now the X-ray. This is now our X-ray
Okay, I'm
example.
listening.
Yes. So remember the other time you asked if it was X-ray based, right? So you can see our first example was not X-ray, but it was able to tell that, okay, this is not an X-ray model and so on. So we've now uploaded the X-ray image, which will take a longer time. So the reason why this is taking a longer time is initially on the model I was using 200 tokens, right? I doubled it to 500 so that we can have a longer, more detailed message. So let me just forward this when the analysis is complete. So analysis is complete. So based on the evidence, whatever, the image shows a normal chest X-ray. Heart size appears normal within limits. The lungs are clear with no obvious signs of consolidation, effusion, and pneumothorax, right? So we have all this information. Now, why is Med-Gemma important? Well, like we said, medical information should not be spread across the internet willy-nilly, right? You wouldn't want somebody to just go somewhere and just read your medical information, even if you are a healthy person, right? It's an invasion of privacy. It's very, very sensitive information. Because let's look at something as simple as you having an allergy. If someone does not like you, and they know that maybe you are allergic to, let's say, mangoes, and they just put like a small drop of mango in your drink, right? Stuff like that are very, very sensitive. So Med-Gemma can run locally. If you have a hospital that is running their own intranet, you can have a server there with Med-Gemma running locally and providing feedback to the doctor, right? And there are a lot of organizations that are working to see, okay, what can be the integration of AI into healthcare without violating people's privacy. And these are some of the things that we have to consider. So this is just the demo. So the Med-Gemma has different variants. This particular variant, sorry, trying to mute. I don't know whose mic is on. So it has different variants. This is just the image to text variant. There is the text to text variant as well, where you can just put in symptoms and it's not going to give you feedback. It's going to be a lot faster than this one that deals with images. So, how do you go about doing this, right? How do you access things like Med-Gemma, these open source models, right? So you can access them on Hugging Face, right? Or Kaggle. How many people have heard of Kaggle? Hands up. Let me see. Or thumbs up. Perfect. A lot of people, right? So Kaggle is a very fun social place for you to go and engage with other people that are doing like machine learning, data science, data analytics based projects, right? Now we have Hugging Face. Hugging Face is more tailored towards software developers, right? So, but you can share your data sets, you can share your models, right? So just imagine one of the challenges we have building artificial intelligence models here. Well, there are a lot of challenges. We don't have the power and the compute, right? But even the raw material itself that is required, which is data set, right? So you can host your data set there and everything there is hosted for free. So what you need is Python 3.8 or higher, create a Hugging Face account, have preferably a CUDA capable GPU, right? CUDA just basically means an NVIDIA GPU. I advise you to not be like me and use a 10 series GPU. If you have 30 series, or if you can use Colab, right? You can do this on Google Colab and to make use of the Google TPUs. So that will also be fine. Then locally, you need a disk space of about approximately 5 gig for Med-Gemma, right? This is not the full Gemma itself. So let me bring my instructions here. So we'll just follow through this. So let me go to Hugging Face. So I'll just go to huggingface.co. So I'll just walk you through the process of finding the models. So you can see that there are a lot of models here. So you can check models, you can check data sets, species, and so on, right? So these are just basically the ones that you follow. So this is my throwaway account. So I don't follow anything here, but we can find Gemma, right? So there's a new version of Gemma. The one I used, hold on, trying to admit someone. So okay, I think I'm done admitting him. So you can see the Gemma information here. Gemma is a family of blah, blah, blah. But let me search for Med-Gemma. So if you want to use the general Gemma, you can do that. But for me, we are just discussing Med-Gemma right now because it's still out towards like a medical problem. So there is always something called a model card. So whenever you yourself are submitting a model on Hugging Face, you're going to see a model card. So the model card just gives you all the information you need to know about the particular model, right? So the model on Google Cloud, model garden, the license. If you want support, fine tuning, you can go down to see, okay, what kind of data was this model trained on, right? So you can go granular to this. So now we want to use this model. So you can click use this model. I want to use it via transformers. So if you click these transformers, you're going to see a message here that says, this is a gated model, and you need a gated access permission, right? Which means you need a gated token. That's just basically what it means. So what does that mean? It means we need to create a token. So we can come here to our profile, then we can go to access tokens. Can I remember my password for this account? Yes. So we can create a new token. So when you are creating a new token, remember what we need is gated, right? So this is what we need. Gated, we need to be able to view, well, we actually just need to be able to read, we just need read access to contents from all public gated repositories. So you can call this Med-Gemma token, right? So I'm not going to create the token now because it's going to flash on the screen for me to copy. And if I record this now, I will have to start editing and moving it, or some people may even copy it immediately right now. So I'm not going to do that. So once you click create token, it's now going to give you a token that you're now going to copy, right? So once you copy that token, let me bring the instructions back. So you now have to install these particular libraries. Streamlit is optional because Streamlit is just what I use for the user interface. But you need transformers, you need Pillow to manage images, it's Python image library, right? Then PyTorch, right? For neural network, it's a neural network library. Then lastly, you need Hugging Face Hub. So Hugging Face Hub allows you to have Hugging Face command in your terminal or in your CLI. So if you successfully run or install this, you can now do Hugging Face auth login, right? So at that login now, you are going to be asked to enter that token that you created, that token that you copied. So if I come back here, let me go back to my tokens. So these are the tokens, right? So you can't view them right now, but you're going to need to copy. When you create it, you're going to be able to copy it. So you can copy it. Then once you do Hugging Face auth login, you can now paste that. So once you paste that, you are done with the setup. It means you can download and use the Med-Gemma. So at the top here, I just did the basic import. I just import Streamlit, transformers, image from the Pillow library. We have Torch. I'm just going to focus on some of the key things that I did in the code, right? So in the code, one of the things I set up is the model path. So like I said, I was using a Windows machine and I had a second drive. So I said on the D drive, I have a folder called local Gemma model. Then within that folder, I now have Med, right? Because like I said, there are different variants of Gemma. So within the Med, this is where my model is now going to be. This is now where my model is now going to be downloaded, right? So the model is going to be downloaded into this. Then we are now going to download if the model is missing. So if the model is not in this particular path, then we now download Google/Med-Gemma 4B-IT, right? IT is just image text. Then where are we saving it? Where are we saving it to? We are saving it to this our model path that we created. So if it didn't exist before, it's not going to download it. So the first time you are going to run your code, right, it's going to need to download the Med-Gemma. So you're going to see that it's going to be taking a long time. You're going to see it in your logs that it's actually downloading this Med-Gemma model. Then lastly, this one is just session management using Streamlit, just so that we know that, okay, the model has been loaded and so on. That stuff that we saw, that we're loading the model. Then every other thing here is basically self-explanatory. I'm going to share this code, even though I know a lot of you already have this code because I shared it some weeks ago when we had startup, Techstars event, right? So this just tells you that, okay, you can upload JPEG, JPG, PNG, and so on. Then once we are done with all that, so at this stage, we are now setting our message. We have the role, which is the system, right? And initially, when we did this, we said you're an expert radiologist, right? Because it was an X-ray image analyzer, right? So we gave it this text, you're an expert, or description to the model that you're an expert radiologist. But for the example I showed, I've remodified that now to say you're an expert medical AI that is capable of diagnosing illnesses from images. So that was the new description I gave to the agent. And this is the content. And at the end of the day, once you run Streamlit run Med-Gemma, this is the name of the file, medgemma.py. It's now going to open in this local URL, right? So that takes us back to the video that we showed earlier. So let me see, did I even run this here? So you can see the process all over again. So this is me just walking you through the process of using Med-Gemma. So like I said, I'm going to share the video, and also I'll share, if you need my code for any group or any team that decides that they want to use Gemma, I'll just share everything so that you have the full access. So I'll just stop here for questions. I don't know if there are any questions. Yes, Prosper. Please go on.
Okay, sorry, I missed the earlier introduction. But besides using it for medical part as Med-Gemma, can I use a similar book for different purpose?
Okay, like what purpose are you talking about? Give me an example.
Let's say a cross section hotels of NG bookings web app.
Okay. All right. So in that case, now you don't need. So Med-Gemma itself is specifically for medical purposes, right? But there's the general Gemma. There's a general Gemma model, right? That you can use for stuff like this, for stuff like that. That you want something that can handle. For something that can handle like regular interaction between users, right? So you want that, what they call it, that Gemini kind of ChatGPT kind of conversation, and at the same time, you want it offline and free, right? Yes, you can just download the general Gemma. So when we were at Hugging Face, let me see, when we were at Hugging Face, so instead of searching for Med-Gemma, you can just search for Gemma itself here. So you can see this is the general Gemma model. So this is not Med-Gemma anymore. It's only when you want to do medical stuff then you can now choose Med-Gemma. But for things that are general based, it's better you go for Gemma if you don't want to use Gemini.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. David Opo.
Good evening.
Yes, and thank you for staying with us despite your meeting. No.
I'm grateful. Thank you. I enjoyed what you were saying and a lot of things I think as you spoke on stage, I automatically just went to start using it. It's a very beautiful site. I have only
Thank you.
one issue though. I
Yes.
am new here. I just joined yesterday, I think, because I already made a reservation for the Google's meeting on Saturday. So only coming to hearing something like, oh, there's a project you're supposed to be doing, join a community, you will have a competition to build something, and I'm like, I am a bit lost. I heard you said you have had a class. You've done a session before today. So I just need someone to just give me a bit information or intro on everything I need to know so that I know how to position myself. I know I'm familiar with data science and data engineering, so everything. So I think I'll be able to catch up fast. I just need somebody who will show me around and I know exactly what I'm doing. Thank you.
So we are not far behind, right? We have a sprint hackathon, and people are going to present what they've built on Saturday, right? But at this stage now, we've already passed that. But every other thing you can follow along. But once we meet that day, there are going to be different set of speakers now that are going to present like very, very interesting stuff. So we'll have Google developer experts coming on that Saturday to walk you through some of like end to end, basically building to deployment, right? Building end to end products on that day. So uh, you can just follow along these current events that we have. Then moving to Saturday, you can, like, once we get there and you attend the event, we can now have further discussions. So our own plan now is, first of all, I want to thank everybody for actually taking this online thing serious, because there's always, I believe the best way for us to actually push a lot of things forward is to use the whole online system, right? We can have our physical meetups here and there, but for us to move forward as a community and to help each other grow, the easiest way to meet people is online, right? It costs almost nothing for us to have these meetings besides maybe like our time. So subsequently, building towards going towards Dev Fest, we're going to be having events also just to make sure that by the time we get to Dev Fest now, we can now have like everybody is on a similar level. So and once it comes to online, we can get speakers from anywhere. So if you have your major interest, we can create cohorts, because so far, I'm actually feeling sad for people that are like mobile developers in quotes, because we'll just be focusing a lot on like AI, and web itself has been like the major discussion because of it's like the playground for building like the AI stuff. But on Saturday when we meet, just attend the sessions, then we can have like further discussions about like, okay, what we have planned next and how best it will be for you to benefit from it. So there's Ishola whose hand is up.
Thank
Yes,
you very much.
all
Can
right.
I go
Yes,
ahead?
you're welcome. Yes, go ahead,
Yeah, thank you
please.
very much. Very insightful lecture, although you are a bit fast and we are just struggling to catch up. I actually
But
want
I
to ask,
apologize for that.
I actually want to ask. I'm actually creating a model.
Okay.
The model is a drug abuse counseling model, where most people that have a problem with drugs, they can easily access counseling services without necessarily going to any rehabilitation centers and everything. Now I'm stuck. I'm kind of stuck. Can I use this German AI studio to actually drive this model in such a way that it will be in form of applications where people can access, even if it's going to be an offline thing, where anybody that registered into that counseling services can easily access care, can easily access counseling services without them necessarily being physically present in all these rehabilitation homes.
Yes, so that's a very, very good question, right? So Gemma itself can run both online on your laptop, offline on your laptop, also on your mobile devices, right? So there's a process to that. Now, in your own case, I'll advise you get the general Gemma, and you now instruct the model to be a counselor of like, you give the model its description, just like the way I gave this model a description for being, to be a radiologist, right? That can analyze images. Then I changed the description also to be a medical AI, that can analyze images for health conditions. So you can get the Gemma model, then you can perform a process called quantization. So quantization just means you are using, there's a library for that. I think there used to be TensorFlow Lite, but there's a new library for that. I'm sure if you check online, you'll find it. So the library now rewrites the Gemma model into a quantized, smaller form that can now be deployed on your mobile app. So if people are now chatting with the model, right, it's now going to be responding in real time. However, just based on the size of that model, you're not advised to ship your app with that model, because the model can be maybe like 1 gig to maybe 5 gigabytes, right? And you don't want to ship that. So you may want someone to download your app. Then once they register, you can now start downloading the model in the background, right? Then for something as critical as this, I will advise that you do not allow the model to be the final shot caller, right? Somehow there has to be an expert that can analyze the trends and the behaviors of your users, so that someone is not, maybe they are getting off drugs and they now start having very, very crazy thoughts, and the whole withdrawal process becomes very terrible for them, right? So you still need some certain level of human in the loop, so you can be analyzing the messages to know, okay, does a human being need to step into this conversation right now to salvage it? But you can get the general Gemma model, quantize it, and then finally deploy it to whatever app you are running. So I think that covers it. What I'm just going to answer is, I think there's a question from someone in the chat. Yes. What did the person say? I'm trying to find out. A lot of people are asking about recording. Yes, session is being recorded. Someone that asked a question at the beginning of this last meeting. Someone is asking about credits, right? It shows that you came late. So I'm going to give, like I said earlier in the beginning of this meeting, I'm going to share the link to the cloud credits to the WhatsApp group, right? So you're going to get it. You're going to get it there. I'm going to share the link to that. It's very, very easy for you to redeem the credits. So you just follow the process, accept the terms and agreements, then to take you to your Google Cloud billing page, I can tell you that the cloud credits have been applied, right? So please, the cloud credits, Google does not give a lot of cloud credits for people to just use willy-nilly, right? So it's $5, right? Cloud credits, but it's enough for this hackathon. Because me personally, I don't think I've ever exhausted cloud credits of $5 before in any hackathon. So it's going to be valid for, I think, it's valid between now and from Monday to 15 days after. Just in case there are people here that are not participating in the hackathon, you can still use it and try and see what you have. Then also you can also use it on that day if you want to follow along with some of the speakers that are presenting that day. So with that, someone is asking about the slide. I'm going to share the slide, even though I don't think it's relevant since the video is going to cover everything in the slide. The slide just has 5 slides, right? But me talking is better than the slide itself. So we can continue our conversations in the WhatsApp group. I want to appreciate everyone for showing up, and hopefully our online events will be as active as this moving forward. Thank you everyone for your time. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry.
Emerald has something to say.
Yes, before
Yes.
everyone goes, so I joined late. I had a work meeting, but it was really interesting to see how everything went. Our emails are very open. Once you go to the GDG website, you can, if you scroll down, you can still send us an email. So please feel free. WhatsApp may not be the best platform. Sorry for that. WhatsApp may not be the best platform because we have a lot of messages coming in. But if you send us an email, best believe that we would prioritize that as soon as possible. So if you have any questions or any suggestions about things you want to see moving forward, please send it to us via email. We are looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to responding with that. So we're really interested in what you people want to see, because this community belongs to you, and it would be lovely for you guys to give us your feedback. And please feel free in the WhatsApp chat to give your feedback about this session. Score it over 10. What do you think should improve for tomorrow? Just so that we keep getting better and better and keep serving you throughout this program. But thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you very much, Mr. Baraka, and have a lovely evening.